Good morning, everybody. It is Road to Recovery, and it is time once again for our Monday morning chat where we get to talk about um, porn addiction recovery. And the purpose of the channel is to give you the tools and opportunity to be able to hear, talk, and discuss topics related to the act of staying away from pornography and staying in a recovery space. Um, I do not monetize this channel at all. It is free to all. It's part of my 12th step, which is giving back. So here we are. I had a really, really, really rough week. Whole family got COVID. It put one of my family members in the hospital, so I was in the ER for a good portion of the night one day this week, or last week, sorry. So yeah, it's been rough time. I couldn't make the other Monday morning chat just simply because I had too much insanity going on. Anyway, I opened this Monday morning chat up in case people want to just talk back. If you are struggling with any porn addiction related issues, if you want to talk about your own recovery process, chat's open, man. Just jump on in and you can go ahead and say anything. As a matter of fact, I will say something right now. Good morning. Here we go. So if no one comes on, I'm just going to chat about things that I want to talk about, which is just fine. I'm going to keep this somewhat brief this morning because I have a lot going on. I have a lot I have to catch up with from all the stuff I missed last week, including work-related things. Um, man, I was almost going to share this for my porn stories talk, but I had part of my rough week was the week prior. I had a job interview and that job interview was painful. It was so amazing. Like I went in and I conducted this interview and I hit it off with this hiring manager and her and I were like two peas in a pod. But what I discovered is that um, they're probably going to do a background check, and because I haven't cleared my history yet, I can't take that job because it's dealing with a population of folks that are in need. So they're definitely going to do a background check. And I still, at the current time, still have a criminal history, despite the fact that I'm off of the SO list. So I've got to wait out another 2 years before I can get cleared of that thing, before I can get my record expunged. So, man, that's the price I pay. When I talk to the fact that this addiction really wiped me out, and you can check some of my other videos where I talk about my lowest low, so to speak. But it was bad, man. It wiped me out, and I'm still suffering and paying the bills for what had happened to me. Um, so I don't wish that on anybody. Um, One of the things that's like fresh in my mind is I had a chance to speak to a sponsee over the last couple of weeks about his struggle, and the last Monday morning chat that I had, the topic was covering the middle circle behaviors, and I kind of want to keep the ball rolling on that middle circle because I think it's pretty important. Um, the whole point of the middle circle is that these are the things you have to actively monitor. Like those are the activities which, sometimes you might want to call them, they could be on the sketchy side where you could be exposing yourself to triggers. And the whole point of spending so much time and focus on that middle circle area is because you should be actively monitoring it. Outer circle behaviors, it's more of like a planning and schedule thing, right? But you don't have to monitor what's going on in the outer circle, but in the middle circle, like all those activities that are there could potentially cause a downward spiral. So you really have to stay on top of yourself while you're in those middle circle activities. And like one of the things that could be a middle circle activity is that you just happen to have a sexual thought, right? So we're not in a position in this recovery space to try to suppress sexuality. That's not the point. The point is that you're staying mindful and current and on top of things while they're happening. So if you're having, like, say, a sexual thought or a sexual experience, um, you know, that's not a crime. You're not supposed to punish yourself for being in that space or having that. but you have to stay mindful of it. So one of the ways that we stay mindful is just by monitoring what's going on. So like a thought enters your head, rather than letting the spiral happen, which what the spiral could be that you start having fantasies, right? That you start escalating these fantasies just inside of your mind without even engaging in a device or picking up a phone or whatever. You're just escalating these things in your mind. Rather than letting that continue to happen, what you do is you kind of pull back and you say to yourself, oh, I'm having a fantasy right now. And then you sit there for a few seconds and you just kind of observe your feelings. Like you're actually, what is my body doing right now? Is my heart rate elevated? Am I breathing a little bit more eccentrically? Am I having tingling on my skin? Like what's going on right now? And you just pay attention to all those things. And so now all of a sudden you've taken yourself out of that first person experience about, oh wow, this is a fantastic sexual experience, and now you're just kind of monitoring your body. And when you make that transition, you're paying attention to all the little minutia that's going on with you, right? All of a sudden it takes that edge that was happening off. So you're less tempted to be in a space where you're going to allow the escalation to happen, and you're just more pay attention to your body, right? And by the very act of doing that, it usually regulates your impulse to go into those inner circle behaviors, which is acting out in pornography or doing whatever. Um, so simply using a mindfulness tactic is one way that you can handle that. The other thing you could do is just simply get up and walk out the house, take a little, walk or whatever. I bring this up because it's a pretty common thing. Like these middle circle behaviors are usually the sorts of things that trip us up, and we have to stay on top of them. Now, what could be some other, middle circle behaviors? Recently, I was watching like something on Netflix. I can't even remember what show it was, but there was like some scantily clad women, and for me, one of my engaging behaviors, some of the things that would get me to a middle circle or inner circle behavior, is that the second I would see like a nude performer on a screen, like on a TV show or a movie or something like that, I would break out my phone and I would Google that person's name and then nude or whatever, and I would go searching for it, right? So that was part of my addictive behavior. Like that was a habit or a ritual that I would engage in. And the second I start crossing that barrier, I start engaging in that behavior, that is part of the habit loop, and that will take me to a bad spot. So I have to put the kibosh on it. I have to stop it right there. And so part of that is just being mindful of where I am mentally. Oh, you know what? I just pulled out I wasn't even thinking about it. I just pulled out my phone. It's like, "Whoa," put the phone back down, and I had to take a few seconds to kind of, like, examine where I'm at. And for me, like, if I find myself in, like, especially when I know it's a really bad habit forming behavior like that, I stand up and I just get the hell out of my house, and I'll just take like a 5 minute. I'll go out on my deck and like take a breather and just walk around. If you're at work, you just go get a coffee or just walk down the hallway, go to the water cooler, whatever, man. You do whatever it takes. But the point is that you acknowledge that you were getting into a behavior pattern that wasn't good for you. You stop what you're doing right there at that current spot. Use a mindfulness tactic. In my case, you're just walking away, just walk the hell away. And the sheer act of getting yourself out of the environment in which you were acting out in can, I would say, like 8 times out of 10, take away all the triggering and craving effects that had happened. Just simply doing that, right? So, I want to encourage you to, take the opportunity to start investigating your middle circle behaviors. And I think for a lot of men, especially, if you're new to, you don't have to be in a 12-step recovery program, but get familiar with the three circle concept. One of the things that I tell everybody is that all relapses, all relapses start with you in the middle circle behavior, every single one of them. Every single one of the relapse that could happen starts with a middle circle behavior, right? So that should tell you that you really need to pay attention to those middle circle behaviors. It also should tell you that a lot of guys get lazy about this. They don't think to label something a middle circle behavior. right? Now, I just told you, like, having a really detailed sexual fantasy that you're actively engaging in, well, man, that's a middle circle behavior. That's something you should be monitoring at because that could lead to you acting out, right? You know, so you have to kind of carefully monitor what these behavior patterns are that get you in danger, that are leading to triggering events, and label them middle circle behaviors. And those are the things when you start looking at them on a piece of paper or on a list, right? That you start thinking about habit replacement patterns or at least mindfulness patterns, something that you can actively engage in to kind of break up your mental habit forming behaviors. The second you start engaging in that as a habit, then it gets harder and harder for you to break out of. So by jumping on top of it right away and saying, "Oh, you know what? This is one of my middle circle behavior patterns." It's a lot easier to jump out in the beginning than it is at the end, right? You don't want to be at the bottom of the hill when the snowball comes into a giant freaking, 20-pound or 20-ton monster, right? You want to get that snowball at the top of the hill, not at the bottom of the hill, right? So try to identify these things while you still can, while you still have the capability of being able to manage them. And it's already up on 9:30, which means I am going to close this up. Where I said I was going to make it really quick today, but I'm going to make it really quick today because I've got a lot of stuff, unfortunately, got to catch up on. So thank you again for listening. I am going to first tell you that I am actively looking for people that want to do an interview about their recovery. So if you have 3 months under your belt, that's all you need. 3 months under your belt. Please reach out to me, road to recovery 11 at yahoo.com. Again, it's road number two recovery number 11 at yahoo.com. You can also reach out to me if you go up to my account information. You can reach out to me on Twitter, DM me there. And if you're interested in just doing an interview, I will keep you 100% anonymous and we'll just talk about your interview. What does anonymous look like? It means that I can hide your face. I can do voice scrubbing so that no one can recognize your voice at all. But we would still have an active conversation about what your recovery effort looked like, and what your struggles were, and what you did to improve yourself, and even what your motivations were. Like what got you to recovery in the first place. So if that sounds interesting to you, and you'd like to be on my interview list, first check out some of the interviews I've already done. And if you like that and you want to be part of the recovery effort, reach out to me. We'll do an interview. Anyway, thank you for listening, and please stay on that road to recovery. Take care of yourself. Happy Monday.